Okay, so now that we've started to get some light going through this window, we have more light in the room compared to what we had before, where there was only light coming from the TV set. And now it's starting to get brighter in here. And we see what the difference is between the diffuse setting inside of the Arnold renderer settings to clear out that noise. And yes, it does take a lot more. Now, one little tidbit, if you are using Maya 2017, there's one other thing that you would have to do because you might not see the environment through the window. This has been fixed in 2018, but in 2017, you actually have to go into the render settings under environment background, which is now legacy, which basically means that they are discontinuing the need for this one because they have fixed it and you don't have to do it in 2018. But if you were in 2017, you would click here and you would add a sky shader. And the sky shader would be to see the image in the background. So you would have a sky dome emitting light and another dome called a sky shader that you would put the same texture on. And that's how you would see what's in the background. But they've gotten rid of this, the need for that inside of 2018. And on a side note, if you rotate the sky dome, you'll also have to rotate the sky shader to match. So you'd rotate them simultaneously. But that's only if you're using 2017. 2018, this is not the case. So one thing that I want to see is a little bit of light coming through these curtains. And I'm going to tweak out the light coming inside a little bit more and what we can do with that. And then we'll start to illuminate the interior from inside lighting in these receded areas up on the ceiling. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the curtain, right click on it, and I'm going to assign a new material, and I'm going to use one of my favorites, which is the AI standard. I've put these in so I don't have to worry about it. If I didn't, then I would have to say new material, and then I'd have to go through Arnold shaders and then find it. But I've placed it in my favorites, so I don't have to dig for it. AI standard surface. Right click again, go to material attributes, and it just takes me straight there. And I'm going to change the name to curtain mat for curtain material. And now I'll start to give it, change some settings. Now I want light to pass through this. And one of the nice things is there's presets. So I can actually click on a preset of something that has similar properties to what I'm going for, and then tweak it out from there. And you'll see balloon, blood, and it will actually set it up, and then you could actually make adjustments on what it sets. Incandescent bulb, milk, plastic. You could see there's lots of different ones that are actually in here. And actually, I'm just going to start out with, even though it's not exactly 100% accurate, I'm going to say skin and just replace all. And what it'll do is it'll set up my parameters based off of skin, and you see it's weighted with subsurface. I'm just going to have to change colors. So in the base color, let's make you like a tan and pull that weight in. And if I don't see it in here, let's press 6 just to make sure. And let's just see what that looks like real quick. So I'm gonna kill this and repopulate it and turn that off. Hit play. Now, there's always a delay when I do it because a lot of my files are stored on my one of my secondary drives and stuff, and tends to go to sleep when I'm not using it. And I did that simply because of the fact that it was just taking way too long to calculate stuff. Or it was taking real, no, I did it because it was taking up too much space on my C drive, which is an SSD. And even though it'd be great to work off of there, it also eats up your hard drive space super fast. Now, one thing you'll notice is even with this low setting, it's not giving me that great of a situation here. So that's because it's actually having a hard time calculating this because it has no thickness to it. So what I'm going to do is something a little weird. I'm going to extrude it and pull it out just a little bit. And when I do, look at that. So I extruded it to give it thickness because it was this paper thin thing and it wasn't calculating the lighting right. But in the case of using the subsurface scattering, I gave it thickness and now it's actually calculating um, lighting passing through. But now I can go in and adjust the materials to show what I wanted to do. Okay. And as I see it here, oh, the subsurface scattering color, maybe we'll make it more like a yellow orange. And the radius, there we go, something like that. And we could see that's looking a lot better now. Scale, just so you could see as I increase that, you see it gets a lot hotter or brighter through there. If I drop it down, it gets much less intense. Now you'll notice it's trying to update everything, which depending on what you're doing is fine, but can also add more time for you to see the results. So if I actually click on this little guy right here, and then just draw a box around what I want to work on, now it's only going to update here and not worry about calculating. It's basically isolating an area. So now as I crank this up, we could start to get the effect that we want. You might also check out if I go to random walk and you see that it gives me a slightly different effect to it. Let me keep that one, switch it back to this, and then we can kind of bounce back and forth to see which one is giving us the effect that we want the most, if there's any change. So I'm going to zoom over to here. Digging the random walk. Turn that off, and then I can adjust the anisotropy to it. But now we're getting a much better result with that. Specularity I can actually turn off because it's not really a shiny surface, it's just a curtain. It's not transparent, yeah, it's translucent, not transparent, meaning that light can pass through it, but I can't physically see through it. Glass is transparent, paper is translucent, just like certain cloth materials. Okay. So from here now I can start to adjust different elements of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this, move this over, and rather than me go through the whole thing, I'm just going to go into object mode, delete this guy, and then just take this one duplicate it, and pull it over here. So now if I were to turn that off and just now check it and do an update, that's looking pretty cool. So we're seeing where the light is, and of course this is going to be based off of aesthetic and stuff like that, but we can actually see light going through this material and illuminating it from the back. So that's setting up our curtains. Once again, we applied a material. We started off with a skin preset, um, which is right under the presets here. You can see all the different ones. We did have to change the color of it because it's not skin, it's actually a cloth, but we just wanted to start with something that was a little more subsurface scattery, and then we actually changed some of the settings. It wasn't working, so we had to extrude that curtain out. And once we extruded it, just giving it a little bit of thickness, not that much, then it started calculating it properly based off of the normals and the information. And so that wraps up this one, and now we'll go on to the next phase of lighting this room.